It's understanding that so long as you care, it shows, and people pick up on that and they can feel it. If they can feel it, they can connect to it. If this is noise, if this is a ChatGPT email, if this is something that someone took 5 minutes to slap together just to get the task done, it shows. They don't respond to it. If you pour into something, they email you back, thank you so much, I love that. It's a difference. Hello my dearest entrepreneur friends, welcome back to another video. Or if you are listening to this one on the Omnichannel podcast, welcome back to the podcast. So in this video, we are going to talk about care, and we are going to talk about care in a different way of how we as content creators, creatives, even service providers, even how care is woven into everything we do. And this is, by the way, the care itself is very human to human. So this is baseline of the program of human to human, because this type of care is all about, I don't know how to explain this, I'll try to do my best. So, have you ever noticed that there are certain words that carry a certain energy with them? So, for example, if I say levity, harmony, these words, they carry a frequency. So, if every word carries a frequency, an energy behind them, it means that when I write something, my energy is infused to what I'm writing. So it's not just that the words themselves, they carry their own energy, they mean something, but also the person who's using them and behind them is able to make them alive and give them, fuse them with their own imprint and energy. And I'm going to give you a very simple example because I don't want to really make this messy, but have you ever noticed that people can copy other people's work? So for example, I remember Frank Kern in marketing talked about the fact that someone came to steal his entire funnel word by word, and then even though they took his funnel, they weren't successful with it, even though it was the same words. Another example here is actually something I've tested, where I put together a post for a client in which my intention was to get more client to take her first trial course, and my intention was for people to see it and they would come, and I was writing from that energy of like, I want people to see this is really good, they have to see this. And when I created those posts and people engaged and they signed up, what happened was that framework was given into a VA who copy-pasted the entire thing. And when she did it, it didn't work, even though it was the same words. And every time that happens, when someone just copy-pastes, like a VA was just doing their job, going with the motion, instead of slowing down and infusing that with intention and care, it doesn't land with people. So another example of this is when I sit down to write an email for a client, and I really anchor myself into the client world, and I really care about growing the business for them, and I really want people to see it and feel invited and feel excited and come through. I write differently. If I was to give the same message to ChatGPT and I ran it through a prompt system that is from Dan Kennedy, even though the words are good, it's different. It's not going to land as much. Like, you could argue that the copy that ChatGPT prompt generate is fucking good, but my intention in writing and the word choices that I use that are infused from the client essence on what I gathered from the way he communicates, his values, and I'm using that almost like a chameleon to then infuse that with my own intention. People respond to that, and that ChatGPT message, even though it's technically good, it falls into flat ears and people are not resonating. So I think we had conversations about this, but it's not just the words that matter, it's your intention and energy behind them. So if you say something and you don't want people to hear you and see you, they're not going to hear you and see you. And I can give you this other example as well, because we have in one of my clients in his team, he has an assistant who we're gonna call her Kelly, who actually is very introverted and she hates phone calls, she hates reaching out to people. And if she's calling people, they don't pick it up. If she's emailing people, they don't answer. If she's sending a text message, they don't answer. But when the client is calling, the client is sending a text message, they answer to him. And you could argue, well, it's the same phone number. It's the same phone number. And they use the same phone number within, they have a system phone number that they use to message. But that's the person who doesn't want the other person to respond versus the person who wants you to see it, because it matters. This is important because they want to grow, they want you to see, they want you to feel invited, versus I'm just gonna try to send a message but I'm invisible. I'm happy if you don't answer, because then I feel relief. I don't have to deal with my anxiety. It's a different energy. So energy matters. So the thing is, if you want to link this to service providers and like tie it back to human, how to become invaluable in every type of in every single business organizations you touch program, if we want to tie it back to human and specifically to service providers, what the mentality here is, most service providers, they are focused on just completing the task versus infusing care into what they are doing. And it shows. That's why I was trying to give you many examples so you guys can really grasp and understand what it is. It's the energy of care infused into your actions, the way you show up, the words you use, the way you take actions. Even if you act on behalf of a client or for your own business, it matters because you put your own essence to and care to everything you do. I don't want to use words like transmission and signal, but I think it's the intention behind them and it's the care behind them. If you have an intention to be visible, seen, and invite people because you understand this is beneficial, you are convinced of its value and you cannot wait for people to see it, it's a different intention than if you are like, okay, I'm done copy pasting, task is over, clock in, clock out, my time is done, goodbye. Oh, they told me that I should say this, so I'm gonna say this. And it's a different type of care. So if I care, and if I'm acting from care as a service provider or as a business owner, it infuses into everything I do, and the way I show up, and the way I speak, and I'm watching my words, and I'm careful because I care. Or I copy paste, it's done, the task is done, you said I should do this. I don't even slow down to think whether the message is being received and how it's being perceived. I don't care about that because all I care is that the task is done. You said it's done, I've done it. There is a degree of care that is the difference. And I think we will go inside, we will go more in depth inside the program because there is so much more nuance to this one. I don't even have time to communicate that to you. But another example of this is a task is done versus I infused care is the way sometimes we invite people. So when you know someone and you have a program, this happened actually 2 weeks ago when we have a mastermind event for one of my clients, and he was asking one of his persons to invite people who works within his organization. And what happened is there were messages sent, but they were not tailored to that specific person, so they ignored it. So when we show that we care, and we show up with care, and we infuse that into the way we communicate and act, it shows that was thought, heart poured into that process. And people react to that much more than to some generic ChatGPT message. I think because the world is moving into efficiency and it's easy and you can just generate content plans, and ChatGPT can spit out 30 days worth of content for you. It becomes this chore that I just need to check so it's done, instead of taking every single opportunity to create a content and express something that I know is valuable to my audience and to the people I serve. It's a different vibe. And while there's nothing wrong with using automations or using ChatGPT to spark ideas, if you just use it so that you don't have to talk to people, if you don't have to think about what to post, you don't have to give it thought and consideration, you're using it the wrong way. So while ChatGPT, for example, can help you and automate certain parts of your business, it doesn't have a soul, so people cannot feel you behind it. And I think if they can feel you, that there was something behind your words, there was an emotion. If they can feel you, they connect with you more. So then the challenge becomes, and how can I create content that people can feel me through? And in order for you to do that in content, in your writing, in your email, you need to actually care. And you need to put yourself into that. You need to give a fuck. You need to care for real. You can't even fake care, because I've seen fake care. It's like you act as if you care. But if you fake care, people feel you fake care. They don't respond either. Real care is what makes people respond to you, not fake care. Not the fake empathy, not the how do I make them think that I care. It's engineered care. It doesn't work. It doesn't land. Real care, it's a more expensive currency to really care, because then it means that you put yourself into whatever that you're doing. And that's energy, and that's output. And you cannot engineer that type of care, because it has a heart and soul. And you pour into your work, and you pour into your expression. One of the things that I do for my clients, they often ask me, because sometimes we run campaigns for a specific time, for 4th of July, Labor Day, we do run campaigns sometimes that has deadlines. And sometimes they're like, hey, can you send me what is the whole email sequence? I would really like to see that. And what's ended up happening is I tell them I cannot send you the entire sequence because I don't have the entire sequence yet. I have an outline of the emails that I'm gonna send, but what I do is I sit down in the moment of the day I'm gonna send it. So for example, if I know I'm gonna send it that afternoon, I sit down that morning. If I have time, I use my time wisely. But I sit down with that email and I feel into that. I feel into the words that I've written days before, weeks before, and I feel into them and I see how can I feel into them and how can I pour into them more so they are alive again. It's like that thought, when I created that the first time, isn't alive anymore, but then I have to infuse them once more. I'm gonna wake the words up. It's almost like they went to sleep in the time of writing first, and then when I'm sitting down to say them again, I will have to infuse them again. I sit down and I sit with the email and I think about how I feel and how I'm going to infuse them now. That's how I work. I sit down, I feel into things, and I say, okay, how can I make them more alive? How can I make this message land more? How do I feel about this message at this moment, at this time, as I'm sitting here? And that is what care is in practicality. It's understanding that so long as you care, it shows, and people pick up on that and they can feel it. If they can feel it, they can connect to it. If this is noise, if this is a ChatGPT email, if this is something that someone took 5 minutes to slap together just to get the task done, it shows. They don't respond to it. If you pour into something, they email you back, thank you so much, I love that. It's a difference. So we go more inside the human to human in terms of infusing everything we do with care. That is truly irreplaceable, in my opinion. That level of care is irreplaceable. That is why when I personally work with people, it's years and years and years and years and years, because it's not just about loyalty to them, even though there is loyalty. It's about how can I maintain care for a long time, for years, so that it's understood and it's irreplaceable. Because, well, good luck finding someone who cares as much as I do. It's hard. That is why you become invaluable with that degree of care. If you're interested in taking the Human to Human program, it's a 10-week, 10-module program. Make sure you put your email and you get notified once we start the program. With pricing and more information, you can always reach out to me. I'm happy to tell you all about it. But I will be officially launching the program soon, so you can get in that waitlist if you are going inside of the link of this podcast, or either I'm going to put in the show notes for the podcast or the description of the video. Thank you so much for watching and listening this one, and I'll see you guys very soon.